In the 1940s, millions of Jews were hoarded, beaten, and killed simply for their religion. In the 1950s and 60s, black Americans were beaten and killed for the color of their skin. We all know so much about this, but there are others that have gone through this mostly unnoticed. These people have been disrespected and beaten. This group is called the LGBTQ community, and they deserve the same rights as everyone else.
In 1953, President Eisenhower passed a law saying that people in the LGBTQ community would be banned from all federal government and were declared a national security hazard.
Gay bars were a place of sanctuary for the LGBTQ community. They were a place where they could dance and show affection for each other without the police interfering.
In turn, they were frequently raided, and they were arrested because they were gay. They either lived in the shadows or arrested for who they were. Instead of going to gay bars and risk getting arrested, they went to meat trucks.
The gay bar owners didn't have enough money to keep bars open, so they got involved with the mafia. The mafia supplied them with jukeboxes and liquor. It was a complete profit for the mafia because they stole all the liquor and then watered it down and overpriced it.
Because they started getting involved with the mafia, they were raided even more frequently than before.
One particular night, June 28th, 1969, the Stonewall Inn was having a normal night. Nothing special was happening. It was then raided by about 7 cops. That day changed the course of history for the LGBTQ community forever.
People were patted down and checked to make sure their gender expression matched up with their assigned sex. In the 60s, it was a law that you had to wear at least 3 articles of clothing that match up with your assigned sex, excluding socks.
The people at the inn were beaten and arrested, but it wouldn't stand. People fought back against injustice. They threw pennies and anything they could find in their pockets.
By this time, there were hundreds of people on the verge of rioting. The police knew there was no avoiding a riot, so they made a deal with the mob. They said if you wanted to come back into the inn, you could, and they would come in with you.
People went in with the cops, and they immediately regretted it. The cops proceeded to barricade themselves in, along with the people that went in with them.
The cops continued watching the people, as if they were waiting to arrest each and every single one of them.
A trans woman named Marsha P. Johnson started to rally everyone to break into the inn. In the distance, they heard sirens getting closer and closer.
Dozens of cops showed up with riot gear and formed a line to move the crowd back, but they knew that they couldn't hold out for long if they did riot.
Today was a different day for the people on the streets. They were the powerful ones that night.
The newspapers was the biggest influence on the public. They named the front story of the New York Times, "Homo Nest Raided, Queen Bees Stinging Mad," as well as many Village Voice articles on the matter.
LGBTQ people didn't want to be oppressed any longer, so peaceful protests preceded the riots for the next 2 days. Instead of continuing with the uprising, they started with pride parades in 1970, both in honor of all the people that have fallen and been broken down, and to the people that support them, and to get the rights that they deserve.
Illinois was the first state to eliminate their anti-Semitic laws, and many states followed over the course of 4 decades. The last state to reject these laws was Texas, and there was a big case for them to remove their laws.
The Stonewall riots are very much what paved the way for present-day pride parades. Because of those peaceful protests that started after that riot, pride parades got started in 1970, so had that brick not been thrown, we wouldn't have been where we are today. Advocacy is still incredibly important in today's world. On January 22, 2019, Donald Trump's transgender military ban passed, with the Supreme Court voting 5-4. This law will prevent all transgender individuals, with or without gender reassignment therapy and/or surgery, from serving in the U.S. military. We reached out to Ray Carey, the executive director of the LGBTQ task force, a couple of weeks ago, and asked her a few questions about the topic at hand. She has been a great influence on our documentary, and we want to share her responses because we think they have a great impact on the matter.